Is that the bus song again?
Yes. The Vagabonds.
I do know the song. I do know the song.
I just didn't remember that it was like a Six Flags thing.
That's the only reason I know the song is Six Flags commercial.
Did you listen to it since then?
I did watch the commercial. That guy was so creepy.
Yeah, he was a little creepy.
He was really creepy. And I was mad because it took me like a year to realize that it wasn't an old person.
It was a young person in
an old man
costume.
In an old man costume. Old man face. Sounds ageist to me. He was moving though. I should have known better. And we're back.
Hey.
And we're both dual bitsed up. Oop.
Yes.
Set. Dual Bits brought to you by Dual Bits. 2 straws in the house on a very special fight week for a certain somebody.
Ooh, it's fight week.
It's me. Yeah, I'm excited. Watching fights yesterday was a little more stressful than normal.
Were you like reacting to things in certain ways?
Yes. Oh, and the fights were really good too.
They were.
There were so many good fights. I was exhausted once they got to the main, but like, so was Derrick Lewis.
You're like, wait, there's more?
Yeah. Why did he knock him out yet? It's the longest 3 rounds of my life. Let me tell you. But dude, I'm so jealous that I didn't get to fight in front of a crowd like St. Louis. Or I'm not going to be able to. You know, like that crowd is insane.
They were pumped up. Was that the first time that they were ever in St. Louis?
I think they went there once before, like almost 10 years ago. I think it was like 2018 or 16 or something like that.
Yeah, they were itching for it.
Yeah, they needed it. They wanted it in their blood.
Get that fix.
Bring it back. Because it's a big city, you know, like there's a lot of fans out there. And there's a lot of fighters from there. Charles Johnson, Energy, he's one of the people that our manager manages. And he was second fight on the card. The card was packed already. So it was one of those like local shows that felt like a big show. It was really cool. And then Buckley, man, he put on a performance of his life.
Man, I got to spend a little bit of time with him when he fought in Atlantic City. So now I'm, of course, emotionally invested in him.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It was extra hard to watch that fight.
Yeah, it was so scary. That guy was huge.
He ate those knees like they were freaking cookies.
He was just like, well, you know, he got those big old bosoms, right?
He put his chest into those.
I need to get me some implants that are Buckley size.
I feel like part of his training was probably like at a football like compound with those like dummy things that you run in like.
No.
What are those things? It looked like a football tackle.
Yeah, he put his chest into it. And every time that happened, I was so scared that it was going to sneak its way up to his knees. But the bosoms protected him. They
I feel
kept
like
him in a good area.
Yeah, one of those knees was a pretty good one. Maybe it was the first one that he tackled into, but woo.
How demoralizing, though, to just land the knee perfectly like you landed on the pads and then just feel your legs flare up right afterwards. Like, that sucks.
No, it is. You're literally throwing everything at somebody and they just walk through it.
And he had the perfect game plan for this guy. But I do feel like someone else is going to try this game plan and they're going to get kneed in the face.
It is not going to work.
No.
You got to be built like Buckley for it.
Yes. You got to have the chesticles. You have to have the big chesties. You have to have the explosiveness. And you just have to have that grit, too. You have to have that composure in there. And he was very composed. He was very confident all week. The build up to it, too, like that was crazy. The amount of hate that he was getting from the Uzbekistan's fans. Man.
And he walked out with their flag.
And he walked out with their flag. I thought that was a really classy thing to do.
It was very sweet.
I thought it was cool because it's like, hey, we're all brothers here. At the end of the second round, they were slapping hands, you know, hugging, like, yeah, this is a good fight. So it was nice to see all that come together, especially after all the monkey comments.
Oh, I didn't hear those.
On every UFC post dealing with Buckley versus what is that? Ruzaboyev? Yes. Ruzaboyev.
Wow, I was not aware of these.
Yeah, there is a lot of, I mean, whenever you're dealing with these like certain countries, certain areas, they're very loose with the racism. out there. They don't have, I guess, the same history that we have, where we have to be very politically correct about everything. But they were just going ape shit, literally, with the emoticons and the gifts and
it's a whole country.
That stuff.
They really get behind their countrymen too. Dude. So it can be very overwhelming when you fight somebody from Uzbekistan or Russia.
Yeah.
Or where's the other big one? Where's everybody from? I can't think. I haven't had a sip of coffee yet.
What are you talking about? The place that the Kazakhstan.
Thank you. Yeah, you knew what I was talking about.
Yeah, with the hat. If you fight anywhere with a cool hat, then you're gonna have a bunch of asshole countrymen behind you saying rude shit, especially when they're fighting a black fighter. So I thought that he dealt with that whole come up, the promotion of the fight, very, very well. The post-fight speech, though, what was your take on that?
I don't remember a lot of the post-fight speech. Just him calling out McGregor.
I mean, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Was that? I mean, that was the whole post-fight speech, and him talking about his grandmother, which made me very teary-eyed. It was very, very sweet.
Oh yeah, that part was sweet. I forgot about that part because afterwards he called all of Conor McGregor's family a
hoes.
You a hoe. You a, like, how you gonna talk about your grandmother and then say you a hoe, you a hoe, you a hoe, your mama raised a hoe right after you talk so sweetly about your grandmother?
The dichotomy of being a cage fighter.
I guess.
You just never know. You know, never know what we can throw out.
We just got so many.
Sometimes we can be completely transformational, and sometimes we can be,
we just are what we are. That's why we punch people in the face for a living.
Yes.
I was so impressed with Buckley's performance, though. The ground game too. Like when Ruziboev was on the ground, the commentators were talking up his ground game and like, oh, he has to be careful, this, and this. He didn't try to do anything down there.
He tried to go for an armbar at the end of the first, it was not going to happen.
He finally accepted that he wasn't getting up. Like the ref wasn't going to stand him up. And that's what it looked like his game plan was, just double overhooks on Buckley's arms and wait for a stand up. And instead of having the active guard that the commentators were talking about, going for submissions, throwing up, I don't know, they were like, oh, he's good at Kimuras. I'm like, when's it gonna happen? But the armbar was a little scary. He did throw that up pretty fast. I'm surprised he didn't do more with that, especially in the last round.
Yeah. I also thought that it could have been stopped in a couple instances. Yeah. And fucking Keith Peterson, man.
He was just watching and waiting. He almost got hit in one of those moments. He had to elbow frame his way out of getting smacked in the face. I bet Dominick Cruz was watching that like, yeah. He probably threw an extra grand at Buckley to accidentally throw some spinning shit Keith Peterson's way. You better be on your P's and Q's. Make sure you don't have that drink before this fight. But yeah, he was waiting for people to die that night. Was he the one who was in Chase Hooper's fight, or was that a different?
No, that was Chase Hooper too,
dude.
Yeah, he doesn't care. He does not care about people's lives.
I mean, maybe that's just what happens after Dominick Cruz gives you shit for stopping a fight early.
So this is Dominick Cruz's fault.
Thanks, Dom.
For all those extra concussions going around.
Thanks a lot, Dom.
Good job, Dom.
Buckley would have gotten a bonus if it wasn't for you.
Oh, so selfish.
Yeah, so selfish.
Come on, man.
But he was watching that fight closely, but didn't stop it. Buckley almost seemed like he wanted Ruziboev to suffer a little bit when he got to mount.
I get that.
But then he got rolled over.
Yeah, and short legs going for a triangle.
Yeah, I was wanting it to happen. I was like, yo, I'm with you. Like, I would maybe do the same thing.
No.
Just to prove a point. But then it doesn't work, and you're like, I should have just postured up and punched him.
Buckley's body type is meant for top. He is meant for a top game.
Maybe a little, smothering, too. That's his body type as well.
Definitely pressure pass.
Yeah, give him a little mother's milk.
With the chest. fist.
Yeah.
A little shoulder pressure on the pound. Yeah, like
just put it right in the mouth and the nose area so he can't breathe. Suck on that. Yeah, but he did a great job. I was really I really enjoyed watching just the skill versus skill. It was a very scary opponent. I think he's gonna knock out the next guy who tries to take him down like that. And it just goes to show how good of a fighter that Buckley is now.
Yeah, he's making waves at 170. I'm really excited about it. And it's crazy because he seems like not big for 170 either.
He's tiny.
He
was tiny for 185. And I'm
he still
so happy he went down.
Yeah, but he still seems kind of undersized. I mean, and he makes up for it with his explosiveness and his power and athleticism and all this stuff.
Personality.
And his huge personality. Maybe that's why he seems so big.
Until you're standing next to them, then you're like, oh, you're little.
I know. Like,
you're not that big. He's thick, though. He's definitely thick. He takes up a lot of space.
Barrel-chested.
Yes. So that goes a long way. I mean, look at Mike Tyson. He made his whole career of that, just being like the smaller, more explosive, like kind of peekaboo fighter. And Buckley has a lot of that in him.
I mean, I saw him use a little Mike Tyson.
Little waist engine. Yeah, it was cool to watch.
Yeah, that was definitely my main event.
Yeah, it was. That's why I was so exhausted, because those 3 rounds were tense. And then Derrick Lewis walks out and I'm like, oh no, we got another one that I'm also emotionally invested in because I love Derrick Lewis. I love watching him fight.
I was just going to say, you love his post-fight more than anything. It's a little creepy for me.
I love it.
It gives me a little.
I love how
it creeps me out a little bit. It does. It makes me slightly uncomfortable.
I mean, it goes perfectly with the nickname, though.
Yeah,
he looks like a black beast when he does it.
Yeah,
coming out from under the bed at night.
More like a sea lion to me, like a really angry sea lion.
We used to call it the Shamu.
Yeah.
It's like, give me a fish. I did the trick. Give me a fish.
And then, I mean, he added to his post-fight antics with mooning the audience.
Oh man!
I mean, if you're gonna moon, like moon the camera. Come on, man!
I know.
Commit, fully commit.
He turned around. I don't know if he
out.
did it on purpose.
I think he chickened out. I think he thought about like the huge percentage he could get fined for, and that's what made him not do it. Which rightfully so. I'm not mad at you. I'm just saying, like, you know, could have just like full on done it.
But at the same time, the camera was ready to cut away. Like once he started going to his pants, the camera went whoop.
Everybody in the control room. Guys, stand by.
Fear left.
Something's happening.
No, you're out there left.
ESPN and Disney will not be happy for this.
Oh man, they got out of there quick. They were like, zoom out. And then when he mooned the camera, he definitely, he saw where the camera was and he turned away and mooned the audience. But they got to see it.
I know.
And they loved it.
They did.
They loved it.
They did.
What his post-fight speech was pretty funny too. He was just like, man, I'm getting too old for this shit. Which is rude. You are 1 month younger than me. You better man up and
Stop
make that money.
You got
so much youth left after that performance too. Like, it was a great performance.
And I mean, he was really resilient because he was in trouble, and he showed some new wrinkles to his game. Like he came out with like 2 takedown attempts.
Yes,
and he off balanced.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I did not. I was like, who is this man?
Dude, he hit like a judo throw. He got an outside trip. Yeah, he messed up one, but it doesn't matter. He was trying it.
He was trying
in a main event with a lot of people watching. Showing wrinkles to your game when you have that much pressure on you is the ultimate sign of you ain't too young for this shit or too old for this shit.
Stop complaining. Get in your Lamborghini and be happy.
Number 3.
Stop it. Fuck out of here. Too old for this shit. You can't turn down that kind of main event money.
Yeah.
How many? They said he has like over 10 main events.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like pretty much all of his fights are either like co-main or main event.
Well, he has that classic heavyweight thing going for him where there's a good chance he's gonna knock someone out. first round knockout. And that's what people love to see, especially at the top of the card. When you're too tired and drunk to watch a fight. I don't want to watch a technical showdown right now. I just want to see someone get hurt. And that's the perfect place to put Derrick Lewis.
Enter Derrick Lewis.
Yes. Get in there, buddy. Close out the show. Do what you do best. And it was funny. His coach actually said that right before he knocked the guy out. It almost felt like he was playing with him, trying out new things. You know, let's see what happens. And then when he fluffed that takedown and ended up on bottom for most of the fight or most of that round, his coach was like, all right, back to your bread and butter. Do what you do best.
Knock him the fuck out.
Yeah, he did it. He did it so quickly and easily. It was awesome to see.
It was like, were you just playing with your food? What were you doing?
Like, we're tired. Get it done. Get it done. We want to see it happen. And that knockout was so brutal.
It was. And I mean, hats off to Nascimento. Like he was playing a really smart game against a very crafty veteran.
Yeah.
So I can't like, go and not give him credit where it's due because he was bringing it.
And it was a huge step up for him.
Yes.
I mean, Lewis was calling him a Brazilian cab driver.
Come on, man.
All weekend.
You already knocked him out. Like, you don't got to do him like that.
Yeah. But it's also, I feel like he felt the disrespect of getting a matchup like that.
Well, they wanted him to win.
Yes, they wanted him to win.
They wanted to get you a new Lamborghini.
But at the same time, you got to let them know their place. Like, hey, little guy, you're not there yet.
There's levels.
There's levels.
You'll get there, just not today.
You'll grow from this. I'm here to make you better.
You're welcome.
Go back to the drawing board. We can train together.
Exactly.
You'll be better from this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, he had like this nice high guard that was stopping a lot of Lewis's punches and stuff from the beginning. He did a good job of taking advantage of that fluff takedown and that, I think it was the second round, get on top. And it looked kind of scary there for a second. Lewis stayed composed. He was able to, I don't think he got right up, but he was able to stop the damage from happening. I think he reversed it too.
He's good at staying calm. Like when he ends up on bottom, he doesn't, he doesn't like be explosive right away. He stays safe. He keeps his frame. He's patient. He bides his time. And then, he makes his move. Yeah. That's like classic Derrick Lewis.
Well, he fought in Brazil when I fought. And one big thing I noticed about his physique was he was a little more cut in Brazil. And I think that might have hurt him.
Maybe.
I think that might have hurt him. You know that drill that Justin Flores makes us do on the ball, on the blow-up ball, and you have to like use your knees to stay balanced on top of the ball, and it's really easy to fall off of that thing. That's basically Derrick Lewis's stomach. Yeah. And if he has a six-pack, it's way easier to stay balanced on the ball. It's like if the ball was deflated. But when the ball is inflated, it's a lot harder to say. It's a Bosu ball. You move one way and boom, out of there. Every time he gets up, there's a roll first, and then he stands. I think I figured out the secret to Derrick Lewis's ability to just get up.
The belly inflation.
Yes. Next time you have a six-pack, just push that thing out real quick.
Yeah.
Push it out and then roll. Then you'll be good. That's the only thing keeping him down in the Almeida fight.
Yeah, I mean, plus Almeida, is kind of good at keeping people down.
Yeah, but I want to see Bosu ball belly Derrick Lewis versus Almeida.
No, I get you.
I want to see it. I think there's definitely a chance, especially if he had a fight camp.
Yeah, fair enough.
If he had a fight camp, he had the endurance, he had the belly, he had all the things that I heard he was sick too. He wasn't trying to make excuses, but he was sick during that. If he had all that, under wraps, classic Derrick Lewis going into a fight against Almeida, I'd like to see what happens in that one.
No, I would too. And I mean, I think that's one of those fights that they could potentially run back in a little bit.
Yeah.
Just because Almeida lost his last one. And Derrick Lewis, won his last one. So I feel like there's an opportunity that they could definitely collide again under different circumstances and see what that fight would really look like.
Yeah, especially since Lewis has that win over Curtis Blades too.
Yeah. It's MMA math is so weird.
It is.
It never adds up.
Why you like that MMA?
I know, it just doesn't.
It's like the rankings.
They just
never make sense.
Makes sense. It's weird.
Speaking of rankings, we had a ranked strawweight fight in the prelims. Did you watch that one?
Tisha Pennington versus Tabitha Ricci.
Tisha Pennington, who's that?
She's a new girl on the block.
Oh,
yeah, she's
making
new.
her UFC debut.
Yeah.
What did you think of that one? Because it was a super close fight. I'm not gonna say robbery, but it was a hard one to judge for me because all that Ricci did well had nothing to do with damage.
I know. I honestly thought that Tisha was going to get it because she was out voluming, striking, and damaging. Mm-hmm. And I will give credit to Ricci in the second round. And the second and the third round, she had a lot of pressure against the cage, which was her game plan. But I don't think that wins fights anymore.
No.
In the second round,
weird.
she did no damage. It was literally just trying to pressure her and take her down. Mm-hmm. And in the third, she started, adding some little strikes to it, but it wasn't damaging. And as soon as Tisha got space, she was blitzing in with her, Taekwondo karate-esque blitzes that she does so well that the judges love. Mm-hmm. So it was strange to me that the pressure against the cage outweighed the volume and the strikes and the damage. It's really hard to see what the refs are seeing. I mean, what the judges are seeing it sometimes. It just didn't make sense to me. And when they said it was a split decision, I was quite confused.
Mm-hmm. I think that second round was the one that everyone was mad about. It was just weird. Like, Tisha obviously won the first one. Yeah, I think it was a lot of back and forth, but Tisha was doing what she does better than what Ricci does, which is like almost a mirror version of Tisha.
What Tisha does better, though, is she manages range a lot better.
Yeah.
She manages that distance, and Tabitha isn't quite there yet. She's still young in the game. Mm-hmm. She's still learning and honing her skills and figuring out what works best for her body type in that division. I just think Tisha does Tisha better.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think the optics were good for Ricci in one of those rounds where like Tisha would come in hard and then Ricci would like kind of post on her head and Tisha swimming with the punches. And then that with the pressure, I think, okay, yeah, I can see one of those rounds for Ricci. But when it comes to damage, you could have scored all three, Tisha, without being like a crazy person.
Yes.
Without being like her mom. You could have scored all three for Tisha.
Always got to throw that one in. She's crazy.
She's insane. But I was really surprised that Ricci won it. And then I looked at the media stores because that's always where I go when I see a weird split decision. And they were split right down the middle. Like, most people thought that, or half thought that Ricci got, I forget which rounds, but 2 and 3, I guess. And then the other half thought Tisha got like 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. So it was, it was a very close one. It was a rough fight to take coming off of pregnancy too.
She was out for what, 2 years?
Yeah, 2022, maybe like a year and a half. But, she was different looking when she was pregnant. Like, some people, like, they get pregnant, you can't really tell until they're like right at the end of it, but she was big. Like, she put on a lot of weight, so to see her get right back down to that little skinny mini version of herself was pretty impressive. In quick time too. And they gave her a matchup that is kind of like that matchup last week where we had Aldo versus
Yes.
Rodriguez? Yes. Is it Rodriguez? Wait, I got my notes right here. Yeah, we had the Aldo fight.
The Jose Aldo fight.
Yeah, the Jose Aldo fight, and he was basically fighting a mirror version of himself. And this was kind of the same thing. You had a girl fighting someone who kind of does similar things to her with the kind of run in, run out style, but she has more of a takedown heavy approach with it. Like that, her striking is more of a setup for her takedowns.
Yeah.
And it was just disappointing to see the judges give credit to a takedown that wasn't scored when, you know, there was no strikes being landed within the controlling.
Yeah, and I feel like, I mean, if you wanted to argue the third round, there was takedown, or there was grinding
Martinez.
Martinez.
That was
Rodriguez Martinez.
That was killing me. I was like, God damn it, I know this guy. I really like him.
With an S.
Jonathan Martinez, yes.
Similar, very
Continue,
similar.
sorry.
Probably cousins. It's fine. Probably a Rodriguez.
The Rodriguezes and
the
the Martinezes are good friends.
Yes, they are. Close neighbors. I feel like what happened in the third round for me was their takedown attempts kind of canceled each other out because Tisha had a really good reversal to the charge that Tabitha came in with. And she had like kind of two throws, and they weren't solid takedowns, but she off-balanced her and got her to touch the ground.
Man, I was so sad for her too. I was like, get on top.
I
Get
know,
on top,
that'll
touch
steal
the
it.
knee,
It'll
do
steal
something.
it.
Like, get on her. And it's just a little bit more commitment to it, and she would have had those throws.
But see, in my mind, it should have canceled out any kind of takedown attempt.
Yeah.
That Tabitha had. It's okay, we're even there. And then the strikes make the difference. That's just where my mind goes.
I mean, maybe you should be a judge.
I'm going to be a fucking judge.
These guys don't know what the fuck they're watching.
Watch out.
Yeah. There are a lot of close fights on this card. One got fight of the night. It was, what was his name? Gaff versus Waters, I believe.
That was an interesting one. That was the one with the hugely blatant illegal knee.
Yeah.
That nobody, like, we're still not talking about.
Goff.
We're still not
Goff
talking
versus
about
Waters.
this.
Yeah, Goff got kneed in the chest almost. It looked like the neck. It looked like the head. They didn't show me enough angles to really settle on where that knee landed, but the ref was just like,
You're fine. Keep going. I'm like, he might not be.
he might be fucked up.
That fucking hurt me from my couch.
Ooh.
and it was just like kind of like swept under the rug. We're like, you know what? The ref didn't call it. We're just going to pretend that it didn't happen, and it's not going to affect the scorecards whatsoever.
We are living in a real life WWE.
Yeah.
Like someone
What's next, a
distracts
chair?
the judge. Yeah.
we throwing chairs in the cage now?
You tap your corner in.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Ooh. Let's go. Get your finger in between the cage. Get in. Take extra long to leave the cage. You know, might double team your opponent real quick.
I'm for it.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
that
think
was
they do
crazy.
that in Russia, honestly.
Yeah, they must.
I'm pretty sure they do that there.
They must. That's probably they probably do it in Uzbekistan.
Kazakhstan, one of those stands.
Yeah, so that fight was pretty crazy. There was a lot of back and forth there. I thought that Goff was winning like towards the end, but I could see it go either way. Like it was just a lot of close fights. Like it wasn't, I don't know if there were any robberies on the card, but there were a lot of really close fights, and I just leaned towards the other guy. Like I felt like I wasn't on the same page as the judges with a lot of those.
No, I hear that. I was conflicted with that fight too.
Yeah.
And I think it was just also the illegal knee was just really standing out in my mind. I was like, he should be down a point.
Yeah, that would change the whole thing. Like if they had pointed him, it would be either a draw or or he might have won it just because the judges in their head would be thinking, well, he got kneed in the face, so let's give him this round too. Like the power of suggestion, you know?
You've suffered enough. We're helping you out.
Yeah. You know what? You won that one. That was rough.
It was a really exciting fight.
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of threw caution to the wind, and they were going for that 50K.
After the first round, it looked like they had already been in 3.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. It absolutely did.
It was crazy.
And they were I think it was Waters that was starting to show like a lot of fatigue too, and he needed, to create a lot of space, but he was still in it. Still throwing back, really like using his range really well, keeping those long punches to keep Goff away from him.
I think I heard them saying Goff.
Okay.
And I'm going to trust the commentators, even though I shouldn't have in the WEC days.
I think it was just that you were watching the Spanish channel, so they were pronouncing
maybe
his name in a Spanish way.
But I also think that the commentators who started commentating in the UFC after watching his tape called him Jose Aldo too. Nobody asked him. That happens a lot. Like only recently, because I was working, like the ESPN desk for a while, and there were a couple of times where it didn't happen, but then suddenly they started giving us sound bites of how to say each fighter's name. Like the fighter would record them saying their own name, and then they send it to us. And sometimes it still just sounded like gibberish. Like you don't know.
Would you
what
try
they
and put
said.
the accent that they spoke into it?
Yeah, you're like, I don't know, Borchev. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
like yeah, exactly. It would still sound kind of hard to pronounce, but at least you have an idea of where to go with each syllable. So I feel like they didn't do that in the very beginning. They were just like, this is how they say it, and then go with it. But someone commented that it was definitely something that happened. It wasn't a Shazam moment where everyone just thought that something happened and then it never existed. You've heard of that, right?
The
Shazam
Mandela
theory.
theory.
Mandela effect.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever.
that thing.
Yeah.
No, it's crazy. Like Fruit of the Loom and the like some pizza logo, all this stuff. It's like it trips me out because I absolutely remember that fitness guy with a bandana on. Now all of a sudden he doesn't have a fucking bandana. He just has a really big forehead.
Huh.
All sorts of weird things from my childhood I've noticed have disappeared. And I'm like, are they just like playing with us? Are they just like planting it on the media now?
No, it's the multiverse. Damn. That's all it is. Multiverse.
Yeah.
Multiverse in action.
There's some time hopping dimensions.
Yeah.
It's not even realizing it.
Well, a lot of these fights could have been scored wins in the multiverse too, or draws, or someone could have gotten DQ'd for an illegal knee. Another one that was kind of controversial in my eyes was the Chase Hooper versus Borchev fight.
Yes.
Borchev.
Okay, so every time Hooper fights, I feel so bad because I'm like, I can't believe his parents signed a waiver for him to fight a grown man in a cage. And I get really upset. Yeah. But he actually came out this time. I still felt the same way, but he actually looked like he's, put on some like man muscles.
Yeah.
He's growing into his body.
He looked like a real live boy this time, like a real live man. Like he had turned 18.
Still fighting somebody way more gruff and manly than him, but definitely a little bit less uncomfortable for me to watch now.
Yeah. It reminds me of when Adam had one of his first fights, and he was only like 24 at the time, but he went bald at like 21, and he had this huge beard, and he was fighting a kid who was like 18, and all of the kids' friends were like, "Oh, you fighting an old man, but fucking 24, And then Borchev, he was I think he was what, 30 something, 32 or something, and Chase Hooper's only about like 6 or 7 years younger than him, but he just looks like such a little baby.
He looks so young. He really does.
He's such a little baby
face.
But he came out there like a man too. He fought like a man. He hit like a man.
Knocked him down like he was a grown man.
Yeah, that overhand that he landed was so clean. And it's almost one of those moments where the striker is fighting a grappler and they're just like, oh shit, like, where did that come from?
You're not supposed to do that. You're a grappler.
That was not in your tape.
No. What are you doing adding to your game?
Yeah, it was a really nice evolution there. And man, his ground game is just phenomenal. It was so many levels ahead of Borchev's. He did a great job of surviving, but I was so disappointed in the way that the fight ended.
That was another Keith Peterson. Let them.
My
God! I'm pretty sure.
Dude, what do you do? I was on your side.
Keith Peterson.
I was on your side.
Risking people's lives out here just to prove a point with Dominick Cruz.
Oh, my goodness. Well, it wasn't the fact that the fight kept going because he did a good job of surviving. It could have been stopped. I wouldn't have been mad if it gotten stopped. But when it did get stopped, it was deep in a darce, but the guy was looking for where to push.
I saw that too. It didn't... I understand that, there's no rules to how many times a person should tap to end a fight. However, I didn't see that as a tap.
No.
I saw him trying to find a leverage point to fight off a tight choke.
Yeah, because your head is pointing a separate way from the body. You have to get your hands somewhere on the hips. And he found something and was like, okay, that's not where I have to go. And then they stopped the fight. I felt like, especially with a blood choke, you can give it a little time. Like you can wait until if they do a phantom tap or like a one-handed tap, you could wait for them to do the freak out tap before you break the fight because you don't know exactly what that gesture was.
Or you ask him, like a lot of refs will say, like, are you okay? Give me a thumbs up. Like, give me something, a little bit more communication. And for him to let it go so long while the man is being mounted and like
punched
repeatedly
up. Oh, that
lumped up. That was a lacrosse ball size lump. That was huge. But for him to repeatedly let him eat so many strikes and punches and then like take the submission like right off the bat, it just it doesn't even out to me.
Didn't compute. That was like MMA math.
MMA
ref math. Why'd you do that, man? After all that time, that was a rough one to watch. But you can't deny that Chase Hooper had an awesome performance. He probably would have won the fight.
Absolutely.
It just sucks to take that away from Borchev. He was defending. It probably would have gone to decision if he had kept his defense up like that or TKO. But you want to let it play out. You don't want to have outside things affect what actually happens.
I mean, you let it play out that long, might as well let it go a little bit longer.
Right? Just sit back and relax. You weren't doing anything earlier.
Chill.
Just do what you were doing.
Yeah.
And stay out the way.
Come on, man.
Oh, man. I was real sad about the Terence McKinney fight.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like the commentary desk just kind of like set him up for that.
Aww.
They were like, he either knocks somebody out or he gets knocked out. And yeah, it was like a coin toss.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at his recent wins and losses, is kind of what happens. And it's a shame because at a certain point you saw McKinney start to reel things in and start to be more, I guess, good with his energy management, not rushing in. In this fight, it didn't really seem like he rushed in. It just seemed like he started fast, and Rebovix was ready for it. That first knee that he threw and McKinney changed levels for a takedown was really well timed. You can tell that they were working out in the gym. The reflexes were there. He nailed him there. And then when the head kick happened, it was just enough to put him out on his feet. But
yeah, I feel like he just kind of, it wasn't a wild punch. It wasn't like he threw a wild hook. He just didn't like get his guard up fast enough in time. It was a fast kick. It was well placed, well timed.
Yeah, it was. I think he was kind of like fading backwards and throwing a check hook, and the kick just came over the top. So it wasn't rushing in. It wasn't being wild. It was just, I think it was just accumulative damage. Like the guy had good timing. He landed clean. A lot of times you land clean and it doesn't knock someone out, and this time it did. So it was unfortunate. Terence McKinney gives me the same feelings that Chase Hooper does. Like, he's a kid. Yeah. He's a kid. He's aggressive. He's really good at a lot of things, but then people can take advantage of the things that, he's a little green with, or the things that still make him a kid, like his aggression or just like his ability to just go for things. He's the YOLO fighter. He just doesn't give a fuck. He's like, I'm here to fight. And kudos to you for getting in there again. I know you'll be back stronger, but that was a coming out party for Esteban Rebovix. be pronouncing his name better in the future. After that performance. Any other fights stand out?
My favorite fight of the night was Fara versus Rebecky.
Oh, yeah.
That fight was so exciting to me.
Yeah.
So excited.
Yeah.
And I mean, I really liked, even though he did take damage in the first round, I really liked how Fara was patient, like especially with such an explosive, dangerous fighter. And I mean, he was dangerous like till the end. Even when Rebecky was like, you know, bloodied up and tired from all the stuff, he was still like, you could like hear and feel the power from the TV, which is like, it's here. It's like, it's like kind of made me scared a little bit.
Yeah.
But I loved what Fara was doing. He just showed how much of a veteran he is. And he used his jab really well in the first round to keep him off. He ended up getting knocked down, which, you know, it happens when you're going against a big, scary striker like that. Somebody who's really explosive. But I just loved his grappling transitions. I loved that he just started like changing the momentum in the second and the third round and like taking the fight back.
Yeah.
It was a really exciting fight for me.
I
love the grappling exchanges.
Yeah, and I love the head kicks. Because at first I was like, man, these head kicks are going to get him in trouble because the guy's pressure was so heavy. Yeah. And every time he was kicking, he was moving backwards. But then towards the third round, I think you could see his arms were a little Rebev kicks.
I call him Rebecky.
Rebecky. Yeah.
I could be way off.
Rebecky's arms were down here. He was yo-ho-hoing in the third round. And I think it's because of all the kicks to his forearms. People forget, even though someone's throwing a head kick, it's doing damage when you block it. And the more damage you take on those forearms, the lower your arms are going to get. You can break the forearm. You can numb it. So he definitely put in the work in the early rounds, and it paid off in the end. And then his eyes were swollen like crazy. Both of his eyes were swollen.
Yeah, so in the second round, the ref decides to stop the fucking fight.
That would have been a knockout right there.
It would have been a knockout. It completely changed the momentum of the fight because Rebecky came back even stronger. Like he did. It was like a Paulo Costa moment.
Don't kick him in the nuts. He's just gonna make you
You just gave him time to like compose himself.
Yeah,
because he was hurt. Mm-hmm. I'm like, are you guys friends? Are you guys from the same town? What is happening?
This one, it wasn't. Keith Peterson had a day off of fucking up for this one.
Was it Josh?
I think it might have been the guy with the mustache. He looks like the guy from Veep. Mike from Veep. It might have been that guy, but I'll have to look at it.
I didn't write down his name.
But yeah, I was really confused by that too.
It was so unnecessary. Yeah. Like he wasn't gushing. He was hurt, but that wasn't complaining that he couldn't see.
Exactly. And it was right in the middle of an exchange that was about to put him out.
Yes.
Like he was still up against the fence. Fidea was like bucking on him, throwing combinations. Yeah, that was just enough of a breath of fresh air for him to survive that round.
Yes.
But I'm happy he got the TKO at the end with, what was it, like 10 seconds left?
Yeah.
Yeah, good for him. He still got that finish and was able to get that bonus from that.
Yeah, because this is another guy that, you know, he hasn't fought in a while and he's up in age. And like, so it's just such, what is it? You put such a magnifying glass on these topics of
right.
Like, the last time they fought, the consistency of competition, and then the age. So they just like put a magnifying glass on it.
But they weren't really talking about it when he was winning.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Funny how age wasn't a factor here.
I know.
Or in the Aldo fight, or in the Derrick Lewis fight. Interesting.
Weird.
Yeah. Next time, watch tape on Carolina. But yeah, that was a great fight. I really enjoyed that one. I loved, like, again, there was another one where the guy who lost also made the fight as great as it was. He was just such a powerhouse and just kept coming forward, kept hurting him even when you thought he was out. Like, it was a really fun one to watch. I'm trying to see if I can see who the ref was, but it doesn't say it on here.
Is Josh Emmett?
You're safe. You're safe for now. Josh Emmett?
Was it Josh Emmett? No, I don't quote me on that. That just popped into my head.
I'm not even sure who that is.
Neither am I. I told you that name just popped into my head. I'm like, I don't even know if he's a real person. Is he a fighter? Who is he?
I mean, Emmett is a fighter. I'm like, wait, what? What time is it?
It's early.
It's too early.
It's early.
And I can't find it. So whatever. It's not important. Gary Copeland. That's who the ref was. He's
Josh
pretty
Stewart was the one who watched the illegal knee in the Waters Goff fight.
Gary Copeland is who we call him steroid ref or Mini Brock. Mini Brock.
Battletoad.
Yeah. Team Alpha Ref. That's what I like to call him too. He's just a little pocket-sized meatball. So he's the guy who was watching that, who decided to jump in there. Oh man, what did you think about Carlos Ulberg? I feel like people aren't really talking about that fight.
I know, but I think we should save it for our exclusive content portion because it's about that time.
Yes, we should. See y'all later.
We'll see you on the other side.